Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And this one, oh my goodness, was this a long time coming? Let me explain. So number one, this is going to be a long video, so I need things to talk about. So I'm going to tell you what happened. And number two, this build is huge. We are building on, I don't think it's a 64 by 64. I think it's a 50 by 40 technically. It's in Brindleton Bay. I think it's called Chateau something. The name is on the top left-hand side of the screen if you're wondering. But yeah, this is a huge like seaside mansion, I think is what I'm going to call it. And I started this build maybe 2 or 3 months ago. It could have even been longer. I'm not even sure at this time. Like I don't even remember. But the reason for this is not just because it was a huge build and not because it was exhausting, because huge builds are indeed exhausting. No. It wasn't because of that. It was because I want to say at least a month or so ago, I ended up going into my raw footage folder, which is where I have like all of my footage saved for The Sims. I end up plucking it out, putting it into my editing software, you know, making the video, etc., etc. And I was clearing that out and I accidentally, here's where things get weird. So raw footage, when I am recording other games too, because I record like game sessions with my friends and stuff just for fun so I can rewatch them. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I do it all the time. And I record and take screenshots of like other games. So what happens is the software that I use to record and take screenshots and whatnot will create a folder for the game that you just like took a picture of or recorded something of. So it's really nice. It kind of just organizes it for you. But I was deleting folders for other games that I didn't care about whether or not I had the content. And I accidentally deleted my Sims 4 folder. Now you might be thinking, well, you can just recover it. Like no big deal, right? Oh, I tried, except that I had already emptied the recycle bin on my computer. And the drive that I was saving this to was a solid state drive, which my husband and I discovered. Basically, once you put solid state drive files into the recycle bin and you empty that recycle bin, like they're gone. They're literally just gone. We tried like 3 or 4 different recovery programs and everything. And the real kicker is not only did I delete maybe 4 or 5 builds that I had finished that I just hadn't done the voiceover for, this build was one of them. And I had recorded the entire exterior and the entire first floor being furnished. So I was more than halfway done and I had to redo all of it. But on the plus side, you finally get to see it. It was a trial, you guys. It was really awful. It was actually terrible. I may or may not have shed a few tears because I made like a little tiny home. I had another huge family home that I ended up just plopping onto the gallery so you guys could have it anyway because I lost that footage. I lost this footage. And I think there were 1 or 2 other builds, and I can't even remember what they are at this point, so clearly they weren't that important to me. This one was very important because I was really happy with this one. I was so surprised that I was able to do something like this. Big builds are not my forte. I struggle to decorate them. I struggle with the exterior shape. I struggle with the floor planning. Like you can see here, we might be spending like 10 minutes on the exterior here, and you have to consider this too. 10 minutes of sped up footage times 6. So the exterior took me maybe an hour, and that is really just with the footage that you're seeing because I cut so much out because this was such a complex shape. I didn't even mention I was using a reference image, which I will put on screen for you right now, but I loved this image. I thought it was great. I thought it was achievable for The Sims, which is huge. And I just really wanted to build something in Brindleton Bay. I love Dutch colonial homes and I love the bigger homes, like the big mansions, if you will. I've just never really been able to build them. A really long time ago, and it's really embarrassing at this point because I don't think it's that great of a build, but a really long time ago, I tried to build the Delgado family a home, and it was kind of a decent sized Dutch colonial home. But man, it didn't come out very well. Like it was really hard to do that one too. I actually split it into 2 parts on the channel as well because it took me so long to do. And here I tried to kind of learn from that and I cut out a lot of footage here. A lot. Like trying to figure out the floor plan I cut out. When you see me do the floor plan, that was maybe my 10th time doing it just to make sure that I could do it, trying to get the proportions here because I was rebuilding. You have to remember this, I'm rebuilding something. So I had the build to go off of. I had it in my library in the game, but I went through and I took a ton of screenshots so I could try to recreate it with the exact proportions. And there might have been like a spot here or there that wasn't exact, hence why I'm kind of finagling things a ton to see if I can make it work. Some things were a little bit off, but honestly, I couldn't really figure it out, and I like the final product as is. So I hope you all enjoy it as well. But you can see that the exterior is pretty much coming together at this point too. We've got like all the bump outs that we need. We've got this little, I'll call it a tower. I don't know what to call it. We've got our porches. We've got kind of that like bigger sunroom as well, which I love off the right-hand side of this build. We've got the front figured out. You know, we've got window placement and whatnot. And that's mainly just because I did know generally where the floor plan was going to be laying everything out. We're trying to kind of clip in a lot of these roof pieces. The roofing was nuts with this build as well because there's so many different pieces just to make sure things aren't cutting on the inside of the build, and trying to just get that Dutch colonial roof shape, this kind of like rounded shape, if you will. It's always difficult for me. You need to use multiple roof pieces, and trying to make sure that the proportions are correct is really, really hard. But finally here, we have pretty much the final product. Kind of, sort of. I mean, there might be a few minor changes here or there, but we've got like the color scheme for the most part. I might change the brown siding to something, I don't know, a little bit darker. I can't even really recall at this point. And then we end up starting on the landscaping. And the landscaping, I think, really brings this build together because there's some awkward window placement, and I will often use landscaping items like trees and whatnot to cover those up, because if you just kind of put a bush in front of it or a tree, then you can't see it, and it's like, it's not a problem. That's my solution. But I use a ton of get-together landscaping items from the debug menu to do landscaping here, which I really, really, really enjoyed. I loved all of the different plants that I use, like the trees here and the shrubs are from Get Together, but I also used base game shrubs and like the hydrangea bushes and whatnot to kind of fill some things in. And then I use, it almost looks like it's a lavender bush, this thing here from the base game menu. It's the debug base game menu. It's a weird way to say it, but I chose it in a blue color because, you know, they're near the ocean. This house is near the ocean, so I figured that would be kind of complementary. And it came together really nicely. Now, planning out the rest of this lot was also really tough. I didn't really know what to do with it. I knew I wanted the house to be centered, so the backyard was going to be kind of iffy, and there was going to be just kind of a lot of space where there was just enough to do landscaping, but maybe not enough to put a ton of activities the way that I might want to lay them out. So I just wanted to make the lot itself seem, I don't know, is grand the word? I wanted it to seem a little bit more grand. So I use these debug kind of like stone things and these lights from the Cats and Dogs debug menu to create a little bit more of an entryway. And then of course using terrain paint to create a bunch of pathways. I think this one is from Get Together as well. A lot of Get Together in this build, which I'm noticing. And I also put a few different pieces of fencing around this build. I didn't fence in the entire lot with this debug fence, but I did use a few pieces here and there just to kind of section off a few parts of the yard. And then I filled in other spaces with more landscaping because I wanted it to be a very lush lot. That was kind of my thought. And I think I ended up achieving that. Also, if my voice sounds a little bit raspy, I am not sick, but oh my goodness, have I been doing so much talking at work this week, like more than I normally have to. And therefore I feel like I'm losing my voice, which is kind of funny to me. I don't think I've ever lost my voice because of work before, which is kind of nuts, but doesn't really matter. I just figured I'd mention it because I'm a little bit raspy. Now here is where we do move on to the interior of the home. We do the rest of the landscaping and the backyard near the end, which is typically what I do. But this is where we're starting to try to figure out the floor plan, which again, I kind of sort of had mapped in a screenshot. So you might see like some pauses here and there just for me, just because it was me checking the proportions of certain rooms and if I wanted to do archways or like the spandrels and stuff. It was really just like, how am I going to lay this out? That was the thought, like, how the heck am I going to do this? Especially that little kind of tower piece, which becomes kind of a bay window area. That room is basically not really a room. There is going to be a bay window seat, and a table with some flowers on it because it's a weird room and I didn't know what to do with it. Now, this is also for a family of 7 Sims, and I did that intentionally because I wanted to leave room for a pet. If you wanted a pet, or if you wanted your Sim family to have another baby, or if there was like a grandparent that came to stay with them, whatever the case is, I thought that was kind of nice. And we do have 1 teen room and then 2 kids rooms. So I was thinking, I don't know if there are any sets of twins. I wasn't necessarily thinking that. I don't often make rooms specifically for twins, just maybe kids that are close in age. But there's, of course, the parents' primary bedroom, a teen room, and then there's 1 kid's room with 2 kids in it and the other kid's room with 2 kids in it as well. And they're really weird shaped rooms up on the 2nd story. I can't wait for you guys to see them. I think they worked out really nicely, but they're very odd shaped. The first room that we do work on, though, is the living room. Now, down here on the 1st floor, we've got the living room, we've got the kitchen, we have a formal dining room, we have a little like breakfast area that is part of the kitchen, so it's a really big like open plan type thing. We have somewhat of a mud room. I do put the Don't Wake the Llama table in there, I think. And then we have an informal family room. Well, actually, is it family room, living room? The 2 of them. One of them's formal, one of them's not. I don't know. This is the one with the TV. Doesn't matter. But the other one has like a piano. It has like a chess table, and then it's got a stereo as well. So it's more of a place for the whole family to kind of just like hang out if they weren't watching TV, or maybe that's where they want to entertain. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But having those 2 separate living spaces makes this home, to me, quite luxurious, especially because of the size. Now, the living room here, living room, family room, whatever the heck you want to call it, doesn't matter. This room is probably one of my favorite rooms in the house as well, because I just love the colors. I mean, I do this all the time. If I am building a coastal home in Brindleton Bay, I typically go for like whites and blues because it just works. It just works really nicely. But I thought it was such a soft color scheme, and I thought it was really, really pretty in this room. Now, it's such a big space. I did struggle with decorating it. I really truthfully did. A lot of the hallways in this build are scarcely decorated because I wanted things to be very nautical themed, and I ran out of items pretty quickly. Oddly enough, I didn't want to repeat a ton of artwork. I didn't want to repeat a ton of decor items. So it was really challenging to make the hallways fully decorated, filled, not feel like big and empty, but I did my best. You can of course add anything that you would like. But here on this fireplace, I do add a TV as well, like I mentioned. But what I do, if you haven't seen me do this before, and if you haven't done it yourself, it's super easy and it's kind of fun. So what you do is you take away the wall behind the fireplace, and then you use like the, what is it? Alt 9, Control 9, whatever the heck it is, to like on an American keyboard, a US keyboard. And that raises the TV. So if you had like a wall-mounted TV, you could raise it and kind of mesh it into that fireplace, and then you put the wall back behind it, and it doesn't disappear, and it's fantastic. But anyway, we are moving on to the dining room. This is my 2nd favorite room in the house. I loved this dining room so much. I use these windows from Snowy Escape in this room as well, which I really liked. And I use this big dining table from my wedding stories with these chairs from Cats and Dogs. I used some different overhead lights depending on what room we were in as well. I mostly used the chandelier from Cottage Living, but I did use these 2 lights here from Cats and Dog as well because they are more nautical themed, and I thought it was really, really pretty. So it's nice. This family has a place to entertain if they wanted to. However, with 7 Sims in the family, there's 1 spare seat for a guest. If they have more than 1 guest, they're kind of out of luck. But I really liked having the formal dining space and this archway from, what's it called? The Industrial Loft Kit. That's what it's called. The Industrial Loft Kit was perfect here. I love that archway. I don't get to use it enough, so I was thrilled to use it here. And in this space, whoo, it's a really big space. This is the kitchen slash I can't even call it a nook. It's not a nook, but this is where the breakfast table is too. And it's basically right through the archway. And I do this a lot in builds. I've done it frequently before, at least, maybe not recently, but I'll have like a breakfast table in the kitchen, and then there's a formal dining room like right off of the kitchen. And I just think it's realistic, especially for a really big house like this. So they've got this really big island, which I never get to make islands either. So they've got an island here. And of course, everything that they would need in a kitchen. You know, we've got the fridge and the countertops laid out and everything. I think originally when I first built this, the wall behind the, what's it called? The island. Why am I losing words today? The wall behind the island, I think it was 1 tile wider, this room. And I think there were counters behind that. for whatever reason, again, the proportions got a little bit off as I was trying to rebuild this, but it is what it is, and I love the final product no matter what, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I did add the, what's it called? Again, failing with words here. Oh, the stovetop from Dream Home Decorator into the island. I thought that was kind of a nice touch. And then they do have the oven below the countertops, which I thought was really nice. I don't use those items very much just because I don't typically have kitchens I feel that are big enough to kind of accommodate the two separate things. And I love the stovetop being in an island. I feel like that is really realistic. So I loved being able to put that there. And what was really nice is actually when I was able to rebuild this, we had gotten Growing Together. So I was able to use a lot of my favorite items from Growing Together in this build. One of them being the picture frames, which came in so handy when I ran out of artwork in this build and I was able to just put picture frames everywhere. So now it's up to you guys to fill them with your Sims pictures. That's where I'm going to leave it because I never fill the picture frames. Downstairs there are also, I think, 2 bathrooms. I think one is a half bath with laundry, which I think for a house this size, maybe that should have just been a full laundry room, but I digress. The other one is a full bathroom. There is a tub, toilet, sink, all of that. And it's near the front of the home, actually. It's right off the front entryway. Might be a weird space for a full bathroom, but we're just going to go with it. It's The Sims. And I think upstairs there are 2 or 3 bathrooms. No, there's 3, I think. So this is a 1, 2, 3. So we've got 2 kids' room, a teen room. So it's a 4-bed, 5-bath, technically, or 4.5 bath if you want to get fancy with it. So it's not really, it's a big house, but it doesn't really have a lot of sectioned off rooms. Now, what's great is if you did want some additional bedrooms, you can get rid of that extra like family/living room. You can get rid of that, turn it into like a grandparent's room if you want, turn it into a teen room, turn it into another kid's room. It's whatever fits your Sims if you end up downloading this and plopping them into this build. But that would be a great opportunity. You could definitely do that. I think that's probably the best opportunity, and it's a really big room. So you might even find a way to finagle like 2 additional rooms out of it if you wanted as well. Like you could add another bathroom, or you could maybe get another bedroom out of it. I don't know. Depends on your own creativity. Now here is the front entryway. They've got the big aquarium, which fit perfectly right at the bottom of the stairs. We have a console table with a mirror and the coat rack. And then I did furnish the bathrooms off camera. I don't know if I show screenshots of every single bathroom. I also don't know if I show screenshots of this little kind of like back entryway mudroom/game room thing either, but just know it's there. And that leads to the back porch. And we've got the Don't Wake the Llama table. We've got that big anchor wall decoration there, which I really enjoyed. And then there is, oh no, there's 3 bathrooms down here. Wait a minute, there's 3 bathrooms down. There's a lot of bathrooms in this build, you guys. There's a lot of bathrooms here. I'm stumbling over more words. There are a lot of bathrooms here. I didn't even remember that I had another full bathroom there. Well, you know what? This is great because if you have a big family here, which this house is designed for, everyone will be able to get ready for their day at the same time for the most part. And you don't have to like, I don't know, rush your Sims through getting ready in the morning before they go to school or work. So it's a win. Now here is the big family room that I was mentioning. And we've got, again, the chess table. We've got a grand piano, which I am never able to put in builds because it's so big. But here, I didn't know what to do. I added a ton of picture frames. I added the couch that we ended up using from the living room. I just thought another little seating area would be a good idea, but I was running out of decorations. The one thing I do repeat are these corner shelves from Cats and Dogs because I love them. I think they're perfect. They're great space fillers. And, I mean, they match the theme of the house, so I didn't really mind using them as often as I did in this build, but they are a bit repetitive. Same with the bookshelves. I think I put a bookshelf or 2 upstairs, and we've got 3 of them in the living room with the fireplace and TV. It's kind of a lot. And then here's the weird room that means nothing. It has a bay window seat, and it's got a little rug, and then it's got a table with some flowers on it. And I get rid of the door because I was like, what's the point? And I just added a little archway. So maybe it's just like the reading room or something. I don't know. It was weird. I was going to make it another bathroom, but now I'm remembering as I'm kind of talking through this, that it was going to make like 4 bathrooms downstairs. And that seemed so excessive. I just didn't want to do it. So you guys can do whatever you want with that room, but that's what I came up with. Now upstairs, again, there is the primary bedroom. There's a teenager's room and 2 kid rooms. And then we've got 2 bathrooms, I think, upstairs. Three bathrooms upstairs. 3 bathrooms upstairs. Oh my gosh. When in doubt, make a bathroom, I guess. That's pretty much my motto at this point. But it is a really big upstairs too, and it's so oddly shaped. So that's what I was kind of talking about with the kids' rooms. I can't wait for you to see them because they're so weird looking. They're so oddly shaped. There's so many just like corners and little cut off pieces. It's very odd. But the primary bedroom, I love this room so much. It's a little bit odd because, again, it's got some little bump outs and things. I made a semi walk-in closet deal. There's also another chest table in here because it was just a huge room. I felt the need to put some more activities in here, just some more things, at least to even look at, even if your Sims couldn't do anything with them. So where those French doors are, that's where I end up putting a tiny walk-in closet. I mean, for the purposes of The Sims, it's pretty tiny, but in real life, that'd be a nice walk-in closet, I guess. It would be the size of the one that I have in my house, and my house is tiny. I don't know. I got very lucky with that. There's also a vanity, so one of the Sims can sit there and kind of like get ready for their day. They've got these two taller dressers, and then they've got the smaller horizontal one over there by the windows as well. Again, just didn't know what to do with the space. There's so much of it. I was at a loss. So I added a chess table kind of right near the edge of that rug. Maybe the parents like really love chess, you know. Who am I to judge if you love chess? It's not my game, you know. I don't really like it, but they might like it, so all the power to them. Then they also have kind of an entryway here to their own private deck, which I thought was very nice and very important to make this the primary bedroom for that reason. So that is the walk-in closet. We had some decorations to the vanity and the dresser, but nothing too overboard. I kind of kept this minimally decorated in the high trafficked areas, I guess we could say, or just like the main areas, you know, the entire house. You probably wouldn't even guess that kids lived here because the house is so big that the kids can keep all their stuff in their rooms, right? Like that's what we're going for. And things just don't really spread out that much because the house is so big. So any of the clutter, like heavy clutter, mostly going to be in the kids' rooms, a little bit here in the primary bedroom, but now we're working on the ensuite bathroom, which I also really like. They've got a double sink going on, which is really, really nice. That's very luxurious to me too. I don't have that. I don't have a double sink. Only time I've seen that is in very fancy hotels that I didn't stay at because fancy hotels are expensive. And I love my either like cheaper Airbnbs or, okay, my hotel of choice when I'm traveling. I've gone on a few road trips in my life, and every single time that I chose a hotel, it was a La Quinta. I love them. Love La Quintas. It's like $100 a night, like give or take $100 a night. Usually they have vacancy pretty much wherever you are, so you can get a room like last minute. It's beautiful. I love it. Don't know why I went on a little spiel. Had to talk through the bathroom. That's probably why. Also, I do change all of the light to like a white light because the yellow light drives me nuts, but it's default with that chandelier from Cottage Living. And now here is another hallway, basically the landing space for where the stairs are. And I decorate it partially. And this, after I decorate this little space partially, this is where we jump to the teen bedroom. And let me tell you, there was it's not where we jump to it. We're going to jump to it soon. We furnished another bathroom, which I thought I cut out, but oh well. There is a jump from wherever we stop here to when we get to the teens room. I think it was about a month in between because I tried to decorate this room once and I was coming up with nothing. I was getting so frustrated. And then I looked at the other rooms and the shape of them and I was like, nope, I'm so frustrated. I can't believe I lost all the footage. I rebuilt this whole thing. And now I have zero ideas for these odd shaped spaces. And who knows if this is ever going to get done. I felt so defeated. But then I made this teen room. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can get through it. I think it'll be okay. And we did. I really like the teens room. I love the kids rooms. I love how they came out. But the teen here, I'm not really sure exactly what they're into aside from, I think I was thinking that they do enjoy painting. They have an easel in here. They also have a microphone, so maybe they enjoy singing. They could also enjoy comedy if you wanted to go that route, but they've got their own desk here. They do have their own little like tablet, which is very nice. And yeah, maybe they're just more so into like artistic things, but they don't dabble too much. And maybe it's a casual hobby compared to something that they really dedicate a ton of time to. Also, I took these two ottomans, well, two of the same ottoman from high school years and put them in front of this window, which I thought was really nice. It's kind of a nice little window seat for the sim to maybe read or do their homework or, I don't know, text other teenage Sims that they're not supposed to be talking to against their parents' wishes. I don't know where that's coming from, okay? But at this point, this is where we had the book nook kit as well. So I was able to use those bookcases in the kids and teen rooms, which I really, really liked. I've always said this, and I will emphasize it again. Kids' rooms and teens' rooms are where I will break a color scheme of a house, right? I want them to be individual. I want them to represent their personality, and I want them to be a little bit messy and chaotic. And I liked using different bookcases. That's my point. I didn't use the same bookcases as I used downstairs because I figured you might not get the bigger, fancier bookcases for your kids' rooms. You might get something from like IKEA or Target. That would be the way that I would go. Ooh, in fact, I just reminded myself, I have to look into a particular shelving unit at IKEA because I've mentioned this before, but I am in my romance novel era. I am reading a ton of books lately, though this month I've really been slacking. Anyway, I have a ton of books that are just sitting in individual stacks on my coffee table in my living room because I don't have room on the one bookshelf we have. I literally don't have space. They're starting to just get stacked in front of other books. So, I need to remind myself to look at a particular bookshelf at IKEA. And as I say that, we are wrapping up the teen room, just trying to pick a rug. I did choose this one from the Pastel Pop Kit. I love it, and I use it so much more than I ever thought I would. But that room is really nice. It's like an aqua and purple. And then here in this other kid's room, I did struggle ever so slightly with trying to nail down a color scheme. I ended up just going with pink and the softer cream wood because I love this swatch of the bunk bed from Growing Together. And then here in this window area, oh my gosh, I love it so much. I haven't done this for a very long time, it feels like, but I created a faux like floating desk that looks like it's built in to that wall space. I really, really liked it. Also, ignore the flash of my reshade there for a second because I hit the wrong key. Also, this little area, because it's such an odd-shaped room, I made it a little reading nook too. I thought it was so cute. I tried to use some of the bookshelves from the Book Nook kit. I wanted to try to put these, what are they considered? I mean, they're technically like the modular couch pieces, but I was going to try to put them and merge them into these lower bookshelves from the Book Nook kit to make it look like there were books sitting underneath them. I wasn't able to make it work, and honestly, I was frustrated enough at the fact that this room was a weird shape, so I ended up not doing that, but I do finagle with it for a little while, and then I just ditch it. I put some hanging succulents, we've got the little starlights, and I put a few like stuffed animals on here too. I thought it was just a really cute space. And then I take this, not this one with the cube, with the box. It's got this blanket draped off of it. So I used the tool mod. It took me a while to kind of dabble with it, but I took it and I tried to make it look like the blanket was just draped and hanging off the side of this little bench. And then I covered what you could see of the box with those stuffed animals. I thought it was such a good idea. It wasn't something that, I came up with at first. I've seen other Simmers do that, but I'm glad that I thought of it here because I thought it added just enough character. And then I added a bookshelf. We've got a standing wardrobe, and we do have an accessible stuffed animal as well. And then this is where I'm going to make the floating shelves. So what I do is you get like a small desk, you add your computers, whatever, you size down the desks, and then I sized up these shelves and lowered them to make it seem like the tablets were on these floating shelves. And then it worked. I play tested it. I was so thrilled. Typically what I would do is I would cover up the little tiny desks with maybe like a poof or something, because you could think of it as maybe a footrest. But here, I was able to cover them up with the low bookshelves from the Book Nook kit. And the chairs, even though they look like they're going into the bookcases, your Sim can sit at both chairs and they can use the tablets. I tested it and I was bouncing in my seat. I was so happy that it worked. It made me so, so happy because it looks like an actual built-in unit. Ironically, it looks like it could be something from IKEA, which just makes me even more excited. And then I just added a few more decoration pieces. I did add a standing mirror here, and then I think they're technically debug, but they're kids' drawings from Growing Together, and I added a few of them on the underside of like that bunk bed. I added this mirror here from Parenthood, or is it Kids Room Stuff? I don't remember, it's one of them. But anyway, I love it because it's got like the lights, and I used the pink to kind of match everything. And then I used these little cube things and created, I don't know, like a little shelf type thing, whatever you want to call it, over here on this wall because I didn't know what else to do. And I added I think like a pair of shoes and some other like crafting items, just, kid stuff being stowed away in little cubbies. And I also added another one of those moonlights. And then I added, I think, another mirror, though it could just be another work of art, like another piece of art. No, it's a mirror. It is. And then I added a little wall decal that I put on the door, which is great. If you put those wall decals on the doors, it doesn't block your Sim's ability to get in the room, which is fantastic. And then I added the little crafting table, which I thought was really nice. So there is another activity aside from the tablets and some of the toys that they can play with, which is great. And then I added some rugs. And this room came together, I thought, so cute. And it really gave me the confidence to do the other room as well. Because that's what I was struggling with. These weird shaped rooms just, they threw me off. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to lay this out. I don't know what makes sense. They're big, so I can put a lot in there, but it has to be a certain orientation. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So then I went over to the other one, which is this one here. And this is for another 2 kids. I was originally thinking maybe I could make it another teens room, but I figured, you know what, I'm having fun with the kids' rooms, let's just do it. So I did end up making it a kid room, and I didn't do bunk beds this time, but I kind of split the room in 2 different color schemes, which was really odd for me. I don't typically do that. So on this side, we have built-in bookshelves again, because again, we just got the Book Nook kit, so I'm all about it. I love using these bookshelves. But this side is pink and yellow, and then the other side, oop, I just hit my water bottle. That hurt. The other side is teal and yellow and slight hints of blue as well. I'm using a ton of high school years, which was really helpful here because it gave me a lot of different ideas for color schemes and different things that I could kind of combine to make those color schemes work. But yeah, I think it's really neat how I split them. And I also think that even though they're different color schemes, they're still complementary. Oh my goodness. They're so complementary to each other. Am I all right? They still complement one another. Okay, all right. We're just going to land on that. This is what happens when you have like a 36-minute voiceover to do. I was getting myself all amped up for this. I was getting really nervous, just thinking to myself, how long can I talk and still make sense and not embarrass myself? I don't know what the answer is to that yet. You have to be the judge of that. But anyway, this is going to be the other side of the room. And I love that wardrobe from high school years. I don't think I've ever used it before. This single bed is also from high school years. Love all the swatches, and I love the metal design to it too. Now, I did add another bookshelf, and then I added these different colored rugs, again, from, you guessed it, everybody, high school years. I added some toys. I added, I think there's 2 dressers technically. There's also a full-length mirror in this build, and I use these same little cubby organizer things to create a little unit right at the end of this bed. And I just think it was such a cool room. I really do. I just think it's a really cool room. I really like it. I am very curious to know, if you've made it thus far, what your favorite room has been, because I was very torn between all 3 of like the 2 kids' rooms and the teen room, personally, even though I just said like 10 minutes ago that the living room and the dining room were my favorite. But I don't know. They were just older, like of the original design maybe. Okay, of the original design, those were my 2 favorite rooms. Of the new stuff that I hadn't built before and that I wasn't redoing, these kids' rooms are 2 of my favorites. I really enjoy them. But yeah, we're just wrapping up said kids' room as well. We added a mirror. We're going to add a few little decoration clutter pieces to this little cubby thing. And I was thinking maybe these 2 are more so preteens, or at least one of them is. I don't know what the situation's going to be when they get older. If they're going to have to continue sharing a room, or if they can make adjustments in this giant mansion for each kid to kind of have their own room. It's certainly possible, but I don't know exactly where I would make all those changes. And then we move on to the backyard. And the backyard doesn't have too many activities, I will be frank. It doesn't. We've got a little gazebo here, which I do add an outdoor dining table because I thought that was really nice. It's very reminiscent of like New England style homes, especially maybe bigger homes like this. So I did add the gazebo, and I think it can sit 6 Sims in the outside dining. I want to say 6 Sims. I don't think I did 8 seats. It doesn't really matter. I also decorated the back balcony up on the top off the parents' bedroom with, I want to say a lounge chair and a telescope. I didn't overclutter it either. And then on the porch, kind of circulating that dining room, there's just 2 benches. I didn't add a ton of activities there either. I just didn't think that it would be appropriate maybe for a house this size. Like a lot of their activities would be inside or maybe stowed away in the backyard where you can't see them. I don't know. But I did add a swing set for the kids. There's a few different little gardening pots. There's a sprinkler. And I think that's it. A lot of the end here is actually landscaping because I hadn't finished it in the backyard, but that is actually where I'll leave you all. I won't make you suffer through another minute. But thank you all so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed my chaotic voiceover. That's what happens when you gotta record a really long video. But I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
People knew her by her will, to make it whatever she put her mind to. Late night hours up the hill, serving coffee to strangers, talking about revenue. She kept dreaming of a world big enough for everyone, but she knew it must rain before it grows. She kept dreaming of the day butterflies survive the wheel, even though she got knocked down and never showed. Dear Lily, where'd you go? Where's your heart at? Why'd you fall back? Lately your afterglow is shining brighter, waking up an uneasy egg. I remember her in songs, decades old, but it doesn't matter. Stumble across old memories, try to recall before they all shatter. She kept dreaming of a world big enough for everyone, but she knew it must rain before it grows. She kept dreaming of the day butterflies survive the wheel, even though she